Up Paleo, where we talk all things nutrition straight up. I'm one of your hosts, Christina Rice. I'm a nutritional therapy practitioner, certified primal health coach, and the creator of the Paleo Women Lifestyle Program. You can find me on my website and blog, ChristinaRiceWellness.com, as well as on my other podcast, Wellness Realness.
And I'm your other host, Kara Halderman. I'm a nutritional therapy practitioner from Dallas, Texas, NLP master practitioner and mindset coach, and creator of careaboutit.com. In this podcast, we'll be discussing all things paleo, health, and nutrition, along with answering questions straight from you.
If you'd like to submit a question for us to answer on the podcast, head to straightuppaleo.com or email us at straightuppaleo@gmail.com.
Remember our disclaimer. Materials in this podcast are only to be used as advice and are not to be used in place of general medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment.
If you want to support the show, make sure to hit that subscribe button and leave a rating and a review on iTunes. Enjoy the show!
Sup, everybody, and welcome to the Straight Up Paleo podcast. Whoop, whoop. It's Kara here without Christina. I am sad about it. I'm flying solo dolo today. By the way, have you listened to that song Solo by Demi Lovato? Because it's a really good one. Like, you should pause your recording right now. Go look up Solo by Demi Lovato and Clean Bandit. Come back here and then thank me later because it's my jam. But that's all that's going through my head right now as I'm recording this. But anyways, hey, it's me. And I'm going to be chatting all things mindset today. This was kind of like a last minute decision. We actually had some technical issues and we're like, F it. I'm just going to do a solo episode. But I wish Christina was here to give her input and all of that. But I polled Instagram and I polled Facebook and I was like, hey, give me some of your mindset, body love, type of questions. And I got some really, really great ones. So I'm kind of just going to be doing a little Kara hot seat about mindset. And I'm really, really excited about it. But before we get into that, there is a couple things that you need to know. Number one, we are doing a giveaway this month with Barukas. If you don't know what a Baruka is, it's actually a seed, but it looks like a nut and it tastes like a peanut and an almond and chocolate all mixed together. Holy crap. They taste amazing. We're doing a giveaway with them. So 5 of you guys could win a bag of Barukas. All you have to do is leave us a rating and a review on iTunes. You're automatically entered to win your Barukas, okay? Do it. Speaking of Barukas, I hope they're going to be a sponsor of the Straight Up Paleo Retreat. I could have made that up out of thin air, but we're going to have some amazing sponsors for our Straight Up Paleo Retreat that's coming up in August. If you didn't know, we're having a retreat in Austin, Texas. It's going to be from August 10th through the 12th. And will just be a very fun-filled weekend of food, walks, exercise, talks, workshops, oh my gosh, literally everything that you could think of. We're going to be doing workouts at the Onnit facility. If you don't know who Onnit is, they make really great supplements and whatnot, but they also have this massive workout facility in Austin, and they have everything from saunas and gym and oh my gosh, just it's crazy. We're going to be doing some workouts there. Like I said, going on epic walks. Austin is great for walking. They have lots of water and it's very beautiful and peaceful and it's hippie-like. I used to live there. It's a lot of hippies, but that's the best place for a health and wellness retreat, right? And then also we're going to have lots of food. You get 2 meals a day, or Friday and Saturday you get 2 meals. And then Sunday we're going to be having a breakfast for everyone and then say your goodbyes. But if you get our VIP package, you actually get one-on-ones with both Christina and I, and you get to stay for a VIP lunch. So it's going to be super fun. And it's just a really great time to be in contact with a community. We talk about community a lot on this podcast because you can have so many things dialed in your life. You can have your food dialed in, your water, your sleep, your this, your that, your supplements, but you can still not be happy, I guess. And sometimes I feel like one thing that's really missing is community. So come to the retreat in August and meet your tribe, meet your community, meet us. Like, we just want to hang out, you know what I mean? So you can go to the link in either one of our profiles and check it out. Also, feel free to email us, DM us if you have any questions. We want you to be there. So we're willing to help you and make it work. Also, if you need like lodging recommendations, we can hook you up with some other girls that are coming too, and you all can stay together and keep the party alive. So once again, the link to that site is in our bios, or you can go to bit.ly/supretreat 2018, because that is the year that we live in. And for some reason, I keep writing 2017 on all of my papers. The struggle. But yes, bit.ly/supretreat 2018. Cool. Moving forward, lately, ever since I got back from Hawaii, actually, I have really not been wanting to cook food. I know we've all gone through that stage in our life where we just want somebody to cook meals for us because we're focusing on other things. Like right now, I'm really dedicated to being a mindset coach and learning everything I can about mindset, about self-love, about body image, just everything. It's consuming all of my thoughts recently. So I've been reading a lot, and also I do work a job that takes up a lot of time, and I just don't freaking want to cook. Okay. I just don't. Oh, also my mom started a Whole30. Today's actually the first day of her Whole30. And I was like, okay, I guess I'll do it with you, because my mom does not eat, healthy. She eats a standard American diet, and I wanted to make sure that she had a really good foundation and she knew what she was doing. So I'm like, yes, Mom, I will do Whole30 with you. And we food prepped for, I want to say, a good 2.5 hours, which apparently isn't that much compared to how long some other people food prep. But I mean, hello, it's 2.5 hours out of my Sunday of relaxing that I could have spent doing something else, like actually relaxing. But okay, guys, honestly, this is where Paleo On the Go comes in. Paleo On the Go is a new Straight Up Paleo sponsor, and seriously, we are so obsessed with them. I got a package in of some food last week from them, and I've just been eating it nonstop, essentially. They have this picadillo, which is like a ground beef type thing. I don't even know how to describe it, but it's so good. It's like ground beef with all these different spices, and I don't know, I think it's like a Cuban thing that's traditional. But anyways, it's amazing. They also have carob chunk cookies that taste like the real deal. You wouldn't even know that there's no chocolate in it. They make food that is gourmet styled meals, and they're made from scratch in their kitchen, especially their bakery items. When I say carob chunk cookies, you would think, well, how do you even make carob into a chunk? Well, they make it themselves. They don't buy carob chips or anything like that. Like, they make the carob chips. How cool is that? They have so many different types of food, and it really revolves around comfort food. That's why they have so many baked goods, and they have pot pies and empanadas and all the things that you want to cook, but you genuinely have no time. Also, just for people that are on more of a restrictive diet like paleo or AIP, they have so many options for that. They're actually converting their whole menu to be AIP compliant. So if you're following the autoimmune protocol and you are either 1, lazy, or 2, you don't have time to cook, or 3, you can't cook, man, there's so many reasons why you should buy this, honestly, then check them out. Paleo On the Go. Everything is already prepped and in like single serve containers for you. So all you have to do is heat it and eat it. That's my favorite type of meal, to be honest. But did I mention that it's gourmet? Like, it's not just like one of these meal prep services, which I'm not a fan of, by the way. I hate meal prep services because the food that you get is crappy. It's not good quality. It tastes under seasoned and bland, and usually it's like soggy, and when you reheat it, it doesn't come out right, and it's just like, ugh, why did I spend this freaking money? But Paleo On the Go, like I said, makes everything in-house. They use high quality sourced meats, and they try to source local to where Paleo On the Go is made at all times possible. So they're always looking for the freshest ingredients, like grass-fed meats, organic chicken, pasture-raised chicken, all of that. They're looking for the highest quality stuff and really putting love and care into their food. So please, please, please check them out and support them. And I promise you're going to be thrilled. You can also use our code Straight Up Paleo and you get $15 off of your order. Do me a favor, and with that $15 off, buy yourself like 5 boxes of those carob chunk cookies because you're gonna need them. Promise. And lastly, be sure to get yourself a frickin' box of Somnifix. You knew it was coming. We love them. We're obsessed with them. We can't sleep without them. If you haven't heard of Somnifix by now, it's basically taking the health and wellness world by storm and is going to be the next biohacking trend. We love it. It is, I wanted to say biodegradable mouth tape. Is it biodegradable? I don't know, but laughing at myself while saying that. Anyways, it's hypoallergenic mouth tape. And well, that's just a fancy word for you can't be allergic to it. But anyways, it's hypoallergenic mouth tape that you put over your mouth while you sleep. And it does have a little vent in the front, so no worries about choking or, I don't know why you would choke, but suffocating or anything like that. You have a little vent, so you can totally breathe through it. But Somnifix is revolutionary because you wear this mouth tape while you sleep, and it actually forces you to breathe through your nose while you're sleeping. A lot of us out there in the world are mouth breathers, meaning we snore or we just have like jaw wide open while we're sleeping, and that's not always the best for our sleep cycles because we can only get into our super deep sleep cycles when we're breathing through our nose. That's why, like, when you're meditating, a lot of the times I tell you to breathe in through your nose, breathe out through your nose, because it's super calming and soothing. It helps put you into the parasympathetic state. So think about it. If you're doing that the whole entire time that you're sleeping, man, you're in mega parasympathetic mode. So Somnifix is amazing. It stops a lot of people from snoring and waking up in the middle of the night. My stepmom is a huge fan of Somnifix. She hasn't woken up one time in the middle of the night since using it, but she did have an issue with her cat trying to rip it off of her face. So if you have cats, maybe beware of that, but that's really the only caution that I could think to tell you. So go get yourself a box of Somnifix. You can find it on Amazon, and you can use our code SUPSLEEP for 10% off. All right, guys, we're just going to start jumping into the mindset questions. I actually got a lot more than I thought I was going to get, and we're probably going to have a part 2, but I'm going to answer as many as I possibly can and try my absolute best to not ramble on a specific topic. But if you know me, then no promises there. Okay, so let's get started. The first question that I got was, how do you find food freedom with the mindset of losing weight? So this is a really interesting question because I actually believe that it can be done. I know that a lot of people in this community say that, well, they're actually complete opposites. There's no way that you can experience food freedom within the mindset of losing weight. But that's just not true. You always have to go back to the drawing board and establish your why and establish your purpose. So if you're wanting to lose weight, first of all, I want to say that I don't think that losing weight is a bad thing. Like, wanting to lose weight, that's not a bad thing to want. You are allowed to have whatever goals that you want to have, and you should not let other people tell you that if you want to lose weight, that that's wrong. So there's that for number one. However, I do think that if you're wanting to lose weight because you do not like yourself, that could be a red flag. And I don't think that you will find food freedom when you're wanting to lose weight from the mindset of, because I don't like myself. That's just not going to work. Because if you don't like your thighs and if you don't like your stomach, and every single day you stare at yourself in the mirror and you think about, how could I be different? Then you will not find food freedom, because all of your food choices are then reflected off of how you feel about yourself. So naturally, you're either going to restrict, or you're going to push down all of those emotions and binge, or you'll just make the wrong choices because at the end of the day, you hate yourself. Why would you make good choices anyways? People that don't like themselves don't tend to make good choices, quote unquote, good choices, or I should say choices that benefit them. So if you keep finding yourself making choices that don't benefit you, you should probably look at how you're looking at yourself, what you think about yourself, what you say to yourself all the time, because that controls just about every single action that we do in our life. But anyways, there's my first tangent of the day. But yes, it is totally possible to find food freedom with the mindset of losing weight. So number one, why do you want to lose weight? I want you to write that down. Like, define that. I want to lose weight because. And if you want to lose weight because you hate the way you look, then you probably have some more work to do before you should start to lose weight. But if you want to lose weight because you want to challenge your body a little bit, that's really the only reason I could think of, because personally, I don't care that much about my weight anymore. But for me, I see people maybe wanting to lose weight because they like the competitive aspect. They just love bodybuilding. They love the sport. They want to challenge their body and push themselves. Or maybe they just want to see if they can get down to a specific weight, but they have no personal attachment to that weight. That's very important. You cannot have any sort of mental or emotional attachment to the outcome of getting to that goal weight. If you have attachment to that outcome, then that means that if you don't get it, you're going to be extremely disappointed, and it's probably going to reflect back onto your self-worth. You're going to develop thoughts and beliefs about yourself. Well, I'm a bad person because I didn't get down to this weight. So you have to be non-attached to the outcome, and you have to know why you're doing it. So if you've done that, then that's the first step. Also, I think food freedom in general kind of gets I don't want to say bad rap, but it can get kind of confusing, because I think food freedom in this whole body positive type industry has turned into, well, you can eat whatever you want and feel no guilt. Well, that's not really what food freedom is. To me, food freedom means finding an eating style that really works for you, but it makes you feel liberated and free. For me, I don't eat gluten, and that is a restriction. I also don't eat a lot of dairy, but that makes me feel liberated and free. And there are a lot of diets that can make you feel free that simultaneously help you lose weight. So maybe you haven't found that right diet that makes you feel free. I hate using the word diet, eating style that makes you feel free and liberated, but also can help you lose a little bit of weight. So that's kind of my take on combining food freedom with the mindset of losing weight. How you do that, you have to be very specific. Like we said, define why you want to lose weight. And then I think it's also important to define how you want to lose the weight. Do it on your terms, because there's a lot of books and whatnot and people out there telling you this is how you lose weight. But the truth is it's different for every single person. And it's also different as you age and go throughout your life. What worked for you to lose weight maybe 5 years ago may not work for you now. So define how you want to lose the weight and do it on your terms. Make yourself a list of terms and conditions and things that you're willing to do and things that you're not willing to do in order to get to that goal weight or that goal body composition that you have. So for me, if I wanted to lose weight for the purpose of challenging myself, I would make myself a list, like I said, of terms and conditions. I'd be like, I am willing to not eat this. I'm willing to not eat this. I'm willing to not eat this, but I'm not willing to give this up, or I'm not willing to drop below this amount of calories, or I'm not willing to let myself become obsessive and start tracking, and whatever it is for you. So make yourself that list of terms and conditions. And then when you find that, you start to maybe cross lines on your list and you see oh, I'm slipping into wanting to track and wanting to be obsessive and whatever, then that doesn't work for you. And you revert back, and maybe you go back to the drawing board and you find another eating plan or eating style that will help you lose weight. But overall, I think you need to detach from the emotional component behind losing weight if you want to be successful at it and have food freedom. I really hope that made sense. Okay, moving on to the next question. So this person asked, what was your process on self-love and acceptance? Like, how were you able to do that and how long did it take? Maybe also when and how did you realize that you needed to gain weight for your health? Also about how you got to change yourself and be less uptight and more relaxed. That's been a challenge for me to adopt the I don't give a F mindset. Okay, so if you haven't listened to the episode where Christina kind of interviewed me through my whole weight gain, self-love, and acceptance journey, I would go back. It's probably like 3 or 4 episodes back and listen to that because that gives you a lot more background on what I was going through. Now, I do want to say that this process did take me a while. It probably took me about 8 or 9 months, but apparently that's no time compared to a lot of other people. But the reason that it didn't take me as long as it did some other people, I'm not like dissing anyone, but I felt like I was extremely dedicated to the cause. And I was willing to do whatever it took to make sure that at the end of the day, I loved myself and I had a good body image about myself, because I don't know what it is, but I hit this day where everything just kind of clicked for me. There was this one day that I was sitting on my bathroom floor and I had just eaten a whole entire jar of tahini mixed with protein powder. I don't even know why I did that. You know, when you binge, you just do things that sound absolutely ridiculous. And it's because you are trying to not feel your emotions and you'd do anything to not feel. And I had basically nothing in my pantry but a jar of tahini and some protein powder. And I mixed it together and it tasted like cake batter in a weird way. But anyways, I ate that whole jar of protein powder and I remember just sitting on my bathroom floor in so much pain and crying and in tears. And I was like screaming out, like praying for something to change in my life, praying that I could never feel like this again. And like praying that I would never have to do this because I hated the way that I looked. And it clicked for me right then and there that was a day that I was going to do whatever it took. And I dedicated basically my life to that. I moved home from Austin and I moved in with my parents because I knew that I needed to make a drastic change and change my whole entire life. So I was pretty dedicated to the cause, and I would say that it's absolutely 100% worth it to become 100% dedicated to yourself. If you're really busy, focused on dedicating your life to external things, I think that's great and it's amazing to have goals. But if you've never taken the time to sit down and be dedicated to yourself, then there's something missing there. So that's the first thing, is I made that choice that I'm going to become unbreakable. Like I'm going to love myself throughout everything. So I did that. The second thing that I did is I recognized that my patterns, like my binging, my purging, they were all patterns that I developed because I did not let myself feel my emotions. I find that binging is, one, it's habit dysfunction. You develop a poor habit that helps you accomplish a goal. And to me, I did not want to feel my emotions and take a deeper look at what was going on in my life. And for some reason, that seemed like a viable path for me, because when you're binging and purging, you're basically zoned out. Like there's nothing, you feel nothing. Or maybe you do feel some things, but you're not feeling the things that you really should be focusing on in your life. It's a form of numbing. So I had to let myself feel my emotions. And in the beginning, I didn't even know that I was hiding any emotions, which is the scary part. And it took a really long time. It felt like a long time, at least, for my emotions to come up. But I first made the decision I'm not binging and purging anymore. And I'm going to start loving and accepting myself. And to me, that meant feeling all of my emotions and being able to cry and being able to scream and being able to be a complete bitch when I needed to be, and just letting myself feel, because so many of us do not feel our emotions and we keep shoving it down and moving on, shoving it down and moving on, because we're supposed to put on this brave face, right? No, we're not. And stop letting people tell you that, because you need to feel your emotions or you're never going to move on from that situation. So I gave myself permission to do that. And I didn't put a time limit on it. In this very beginning, I felt like there was so much trauma going on from that situation that I didn't put a time limit on it. I just let myself feel. And it was pretty dark for a while. And I didn't really know what to do for a long time because I had so many emotions that just came up after a while. But it does get old. After being so sad or angry for a long time, you start to realize that this is not very fun anymore and I want to feel something else. So that was another motivation factor that led me to the next process. I realized that those feelings and that those thoughts and those emotions are old, they're outdated, and they're not useful anymore. So everything that you're doing in your life when it comes to self-love and acceptance, everything that is totally negating that and putting you in the opposite direction is not useful to you anymore. Especially if you made that decision that you are dedicated to self-love and acceptance, those old thoughts, beliefs, and patterns, they are no longer serving you. And it's very important to identify those patterns. So I actually took a piece of paper and I wrote out every single behavior and thought that I was doing that I didn't like, everything that wasn't contributing to me loving myself. And I quite literally crossed them out, or I took a pen and I viciously scribbled them out. And I just wanted it to be known that I'm no longer doing that anymore. And then I implemented new thoughts and created new thoughts and beliefs into my life that are going to replace those. Because if you're going to X out any sort of behavior in your life or something that you've been doing for years, you have to replace it with something. You absolutely have to, or you're going to leave some sort of void there in your life. So I started to replace it with things that I actually wanted. I created vision boards. I did a lot of visualization and meditations, and I actually changed my whole entire life to reflect the new life that I wanted. That's also really important. So I'm going to break it down a little bit more on what I did. So if you are having issues with self-love and acceptance, it's important to create a picture on what it looks like to you to have self-love and acceptance, literally a picture. So whether you draw that or you draw that in your mind, just close your eyes and ask yourself, what does it look like when I have self-love and acceptance? So create that picture, put you in it. Notice where you are, what you look like, what people are with you, where your surroundings are, and really get into detail with that picture. Notice the brightness, the colors, every little nuance. The more that you can connect with this picture of you and your optimal self-love and acceptance picture, the better you want to connect with it. So create that picture and then also connect sounds with it. So what do you hear with it? What's going on in the background? Are people talking to you? Is it silent? Etc. And then add in feelings. So what does it feel like when you have self-love and acceptance? And not necessarily just emotions, but actual feelings in your body, actual sensations. I want you to dive into that. What does it feel like when you accept yourself and love yourself and your body? For me, I get butterflies in my stomach and they just want to explode out of my chest, and it feels amazing. So you have this picture and you are seeing what you're seeing, you're hearing what you're hearing, and you're feeling what you're feeling. And then mentally in your mind, step into the picture like you're in it. And what does it feel like when you step into that picture and you're in it? It should feel amazing. And that's what self-love and acceptance looks like, sounds like, and feels like to you. And now that, you know exactly what you're working towards. So everything in your life that doesn't match up to that picture needs to change. And that's exactly what I did. So that's what I meant when I said I changed everything in my life to reflect the new life that I wanted of self-love and acceptance. I quite frankly had to quit my job. I had to slow way down. I had to get rid of a lot of relationships. I had to unfollow probably 500 people on social media. And I had to move back in with my mom. I keep saying that it's a bad thing, but that's the one thing that really helped me, is also just being around people that love me and support me on this journey. They didn't really even know that I was going through this, and I didn't really have the guts to tell my family, but just being around people that see you for who you are and not the way that you look also helps you greater along the journey. So you have to change your life now as if it were the life that you want. Because you can't just sit around and wait for that beautiful picture of self-love and acceptance to happen. You actually have to start creating it and start making it happen. It's also really important to recognize that all these strategies I'm talking about are called move towards strategies. Move towards strategies are strategies that help you move towards a goal. Then there are things called move away from strategies, which help you move away from things. And both are really beneficial depending on what you're trying to get done. But when it comes to self-love and acceptance, a lot of times we're having to adopt more move towards strategies, because everything that we've been doing that negates self-love and acceptance are move away from strategies. We're backing off from things most times. We're having negative thoughts that push us backwards. Just all the things that we were doing are moving us away from things. And we're just getting farther and farther and farther back from that goal that's at the end of the timeline there. So we're doing things that push us forward. So that's the other thing that you can think about. Are the things that you're doing in your life helping you move forward towards that goal? And you can look at it in terms of food, mindset, and exercise. So is the exercise that you're doing right now moving you towards self-love and acceptance, or is it moving you away from self-love and acceptance? And it may take you a couple minutes to sit there and really think about it, but I think that we all really know deep down, and it's just about actually having the guts to change it. So ask yourself that question: am I moving away from self-love and acceptance, or am I moving towards self-love and acceptance? And that's a really good thing to ask yourself and pause right before you're about to do something. I'm a big fan of pausing before acting, because then you can really get into self-introspection and decide if that decision is right for you in the moment. So the second part of her question was about basically how to chill out, stop being so uptight, and being more relaxed. I actually got 3 or 4 questions about this specific topic, and she asked me how I got from being a type A person to being basically a type B person. And if you knew me probably 5 years ago, maybe even 4 years ago, I was extremely type A. I was very go, 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 shop until you drop kind of girl, quite literally and in metaphorical speaking. This is a random story, but I remember when I was in college I was at community college here in Dallas, Texas, and I was working on transferring over to Texas State. So I was really rushing to get a bunch of classes done so I could transfer over to Texas State. And I was taking this one wintermester class. So basically I think it's a 3-week course, and you're just slamming a whole bunch of stuff into 3 weeks, basically. And I felt like I was murdering myself. But I just kept telling myself, go, 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 push, push, push. And then I got this email one day from Texas State, and they told me, hey, just to let you know, you have to come down. I think it was for orientation or something. I had to come down to orientation. They weren't going to let me do online orientation. And Texas State is a solid 4.5 hours from me. And I had to do it that week. They told me I had to go to orientation that week. And I was smack dab in the middle of this wintermester. And oh my gosh, I didn't know how I was going to do that. So I did it. I woke up at 4 a.m. one day. I drove all the way to San Marcos. I had orientation. I walked around the campus for a couple hours, and then I drove 4 hours back, and then I went to my night class. Oh my God, it was a terrible day. I had 5 breakdowns and panic attacks, and I just still remember it. But that was probably one of my breaking moments when I realized that I can't be this overdrive type A kind of person. It is not benefiting me anymore because I was actually using my type A tendencies and using my go, go, go personality to avoid a lot of other things that were going on in my life. I was using it to avoid a lot of issues that I was having at home and with friendships and with other relationships. And just the fact that I was having anxiety over my school situation, I was using more school to cover up my anxiety about school. Being busy and feeling like you can never slow down is usually a good indication that you are trying to hide something. Maybe not hide is the right word, but you're trying to avoid something. So I think it's really important that you take some time to yourself, whether that be 1 hour, to really figure out, what am I trying to avoid in my life? You don't necessarily have to slow down your whole entire lifestyle. For me, that's what I needed to do because I was really sick and I had a lot of adrenal fatigue also. So I had to slow down. That was just a decision I made. But you don't have to slow down. That doesn't mean you have to be less productive. I would just make sure that on your productive schedule, you schedule in some time for you to make sure that you are doing the internal work and making yourself a priority. People that are very, very busy usually lack some sort of self-care aspect in their life. And I don't mean painting your nails, taking bubble baths, and doing meditation. What I mean by that is doing the internal work. Self-care means taking care of yourself. And honestly, I don't like the word self-care. I'm starting to use the word soul care because I think it's really about taking care of your soul. My personal belief, getting on my soapbox here, is that we are just a universal soul inside of a body. We are some soul up there in the universe, and we keep choosing new bodies to get into to learn a particular lesson. And we have to connect to that soul, and we have to talk to it, and we have to find out what that soul wants us to learn. And if we're avoiding that and not having good conversations with ourselves and just pushing forward and hustling and grinding and avoiding everything that's going underneath all of the time, then you're not doing the soul work. You're not connecting to your purpose and your passion. So stay busy if you want, but carve out some time to have a period where you talk with yourself and you connect with your soul and you do the work. Being extremely busy is also a very good sign that you are living in the future. And I hate to burst your bubble, but the future doesn't exist. The only thing that exists is right now. And we're creating our future every single second of the day. The future keeps happening, but then it just keeps becoming now. It's really trippy to think about when I keep thinking about it, because every second is now, but every second later is the future, but then it becomes now. Oh my God. It messes with my brain. But do you kind of understand the point? The future doesn't really exist. And if you spend all of your time and energy projected out there and run in your life like it's a sprint, then you're never ever going to be able to step back and enjoy the now. You're just constantly anxious about what's going to happen next, what's going to happen next, what's going to happen next. And I find for a lot of people that are very, very busy, they are disconnected with the present moment, and they have a hard time remembering like very good details of a specific moment because their mind is always somewhere else. That's definitely how I used to be. I would go on these amazing vacations. Like I remember I went to Mexico and I was not in a very good mindset there, and I was very future driven, or my mind was in the future. And I barely remember that Mexico trip because my body was in Mexico, but it was like my mind was somewhere else. So if you feel like that's you, then slow down and literally enjoy the present moment. One exercise that I learned to bring yourself into the present is to take your hand, whatever hand you want, and just stare at your hand. I'm doing it right now. Sorry. That's why I'm quiet. But literally just stare at your hand. Don't think about anything else but your hand. And then you actually start to feel like the blood pumping through your hand, you can actually feel the skin on your hand, like focus on feeling the nails on your fingers. And once you're done, it's like, whoa, bam, you're right there in the present moment because you're only focusing on one thing at a time. So like little exercises like that, just to bring you back into the present, can help you kind of slow down and feel like you don't need to do everything all at once. Also, another practical strategy is start prioritizing. If you feel like you're actually doing too many things and you physically cannot slow down, you need to prioritize and give yourself like a top 3 list of things that absolutely need to get done during the day. And then, a little other mini list of things that probably could get done, but like you're not mad if you don't do them. And make it your goal to get those top 3 things done in the day. And then you're able to relax after that. And then once you've relaxed and you've had your time period, ask yourself, like, do I want to go on and continue that other list of things that I could get done later and aren't really a priority? But overall, you are so busy and you feel like you cannot settle down, you cannot get quiet, you always have to be doing something because you're avoiding something. End of story. I found that to be very true across the board. So just something to think about and something to bring up with yourself. Alrighty, I'm going to go on to the next question, and I believe the next 2 are about binge eating. So someone asked me, how do you change your mindset before and after a binge? How do you change your mindset from binging when you know a binge is going to happen? How do you talk yourself off the ledge after having a binging episode and feeling awful physically and mentally? And she said, binging is not necessarily a result of restriction. This is more of an emotional binge. And then I also had a question about tips on how to stop binge eating. I tend to binge on sweets. So this is more of a physical binge. So I'm going to tackle the physical binge first. She said that she really likes chocolate after a meal and she's tried not having it in the house but she still feels bingy no matter what and keeps going back for help. And then some other girl said, yeah, I get caught in the salty sweet trap and just can't stop. So yeah, totally normal. First of all, I want you to know that the salty sweet trap is totally real and your brain thrives on salt and sweet. So if you created that habitual pattern of giving yourself something salty and sweet, your brain is going to crave it. It's kind of like drugs. So you're kind of physically dependent on these tastes. So it's actually a good idea for you to cut out the foods at that point that are triggering you. So if chocolate triggers you and makes you want to go on a binge, you should probably cut it out. If potato chips and really salty foods trigger you and make you want to go on a binge, then maybe you cut them out. This is one strategy that I've actually been implementing a little bit lately because I've found myself to be not binging, but really overeating because things are tasting really good. And it's like you just kind of can't stop eating because everything just tastes so good. And I've actually been under seasoning my food, not using as much salt, not using as much spices, because then you actually get to taste the food and you get palate fatigue. You can only eat so much broccoli that has no salt on it, or so much meat that is not covered in salt and like garlic powder and all the yummy stuff. So then your taste buds actually get a period of resetting and your hunger signals reset. And honestly, I only did this for probably like 3 or 4 days because I couldn't take any more of it. To be honest, food just tasted so bland. I'm a huge foodie and I needed seasoning, but it was an amazing reset. And I didn't feel like I needed to binge. Actually, I haven't binged in a really long time, but I didn't feel the need to overeat at all just because food didn't sound good because it was not seasoned. So practical tip, get rid of the binge triggers. I know some people say like you should be able to have chocolate in your house and not go crazy on it. I'm sorry, but if you're binging on chocolate, get it out. That's totally going to help you. Because if I don't have, like for me, one of my previous binge foods was any sort of chip. And when I was feeling quote unquote bingy or like I was craving salt, I would look for anything in the house that was salty and crunchy like a chip. And when there was nothing in the house and I just spent 10 minutes like scavenging around looking for something to binge on, and then I realized there was nothing there, it's already been probably 5 to 10 minutes and you actually have time to talk yourself out of the binge. So that's why it can be really important to not have those binge triggers in your house. You buy yourself a little bit of time to have a conversation with yourself and ask, like, why am I wanting to binge right now? And I think that's a very important question to ask yourself in any type of binge, whether it be like a physically dependent binge or an emotionally driven binge. You have to have some period of pause because binging is so automatic. Binging is habit dysfunction, kind of like I mentioned earlier. Binging is you developed a habit to a stimulus. Maybe you get triggered and you're stressed and you found that eating chocolate helped you. So you developed that habit over time. And now this habit has become incredibly dysfunctional. So habit dysfunction. You need to know that this is just a problem of habits for a lot of people. And yes, there are things emotionally that can go down way deeper, but ultimately you got to replace the habit. So if you know that every time you get stressed out, you want to eat, or every time anything emotional happens to you, you want to eat something and you want to binge, you need to replace the eating with another habit. But like I said, you have to have a period of pause. You can't just let yourself go on autopilot. And once you realize that you're binging, once you realize that you're about to go on autopilot, you have to pause for a second, ask yourself, why am I about to binge right now? Or like, what is the reason that I want to binge? Ask yourself, is it an emotional thing? Or is this like physically, I feel like I need to eat something? So if it's an emotional thing, identify like what emotion are you specifically feeling? And then ask yourself, is there anything else that could make me feel better other than eating? Most of the time there is. And then if there's not, then eat the food and come to acceptance with it. Honestly, you have to accept it. You have to own it. You have to take responsibility for your actions. You become a victim of the binge because you are not taking responsibility for your actions. So if you're going to binge, you better own it, girl. Seriously. Don't become a victim to it, because once you become a victim, you lose all power in the situation. Become a powerful binger, right? Like, I'm not saying this to be condescending or anything. This is serious tips to help you gain your power back. Make decisions and stick to them and own it and have responsibility for it. But anyways, going back to that whole process, ask yourself, is this an emotional binge or a physical binge? If it's a physical binge, ask if there's anything else that you could eat that would satisfy it other than the chips, the ice cream, the cookies. And then if not, then eat it and make the decision and accept it. And back to the conversation of binging being a habit dysfunction, like I said, you have to put a new habit in its place. So decide what you're going to do every time that you want to binge, whether that's you go for a walk, you go work out, you read a book, you do a meditation. Anything that you like to do is probably a good one. Don't pick something like meditation if you're new to meditation. Don't pick something that's foreign to you, but you should, quote unquote, should do it. Pick something that you actually like to do. Maybe you watch a TV show and zone out that way. Find some other way to zone out, because binging is all about zoning out, avoidance of feelings, and shoving the feelings down. So find another way to zone out that's not going to wreck your health, wreck your body. That just can be a good substitute way. Other than that, if this is an emotional binge, you need to deal with the emotions. You need to let yourself feel the emotions. Because like I said, binging is a form of numbing yourself. You're numbing yourself from the emotions and you don't want to feel them. And that's probably because you weren't taught how to deal with those emotions. And so you picked up this habit. And I think it's important to understand that it's not your fault. And you need to show yourself a little bit of compassion, because you're just doing the best that you could with the circumstances that you were given. And you somehow picked up this habit, but now you have power over this habit. You're not a victim to it anymore, and you can change it. And you start that by feeling your feelings. So begin to do that. When you are about to binge, I need you to feel what you're going to feel. And if that means that you have a full-blown panic attack and you cry it out. Seriously. You have to feel it, because if you keep shoving it down, then the binging will just keep reoccurring. But after you feel it, then you have to move on, like I said, and move into that new habit that you're replacing with the binge. So then go do that new habit, and you actually will see that you feel a lot better. So those are some practical things that you can do when you're in a binge. Some other things that I actually do when I'm with my clients is 2 mindset strategies. One is called reframing, and then another one is called Ho'oponopono. So reframing is a process that I take a lot of my clients through that involves speaking to different parts of you. We all have different parts of us. We're not just this one being. We are one being, but we have so many different parts that are in charge of so many different processes. So you can kind of take yourself through a little reframe. It's not the full thing, but it can help you get in touch with that part that's wanting to binge. So kind of get quiet with yourself. Like I said, it's important to have time to pause before you're about to binge. You have to create time to pause so you have time to think and to react instead of numbing yourself. So ask yourself, you can also do this when you're not in the middle of a binge, and this will still help you. So you can do this when you actually feel okay. You could do it now if you wanted to, if this is you. And kind of get quiet and maybe close your eyes if you'd like. I feel like closing your eyes helps you get more into yourself, and ask yourself that you'd like to talk to the part that is responsible for binging. And I want like an image of this part to come up into your mind. Maybe you give this part a name, this part of you that's responsible for the binging, and start talking to this part. I want you to ask the part, so what is the positive intention of you being here? Because there's always a positive intention. I want you to know that. And see what comes up. What does the part say? What's the positive intention? And then preserve that positive intention. Be like, thank you for that positive intention. You did such a great job, because ultimately, all of these parts of us that we don't like the behaviors, they're all just defense mechanisms, or they're all just protection mechanisms. They're trying to protect us from something in our lives or going on in our own mind. And that part did the best that it could. It did a really damn good job. So you have to be sure to thank that part. But then ask that part if it can communicate with the creative part of you that can come up with new strategies and new ways to cope with the same problem. So ask those 2 parts, your creative part and your binging part, to talk to each other and work together. And then once you've gotten the signal that they have communicated and worked together, then ask those parts, okay, so what's my new strategy? Do you guys have a new strategy for me to deal with this issue? You don't even have to know what the strategy is. You just need to get a yes or no. That's all. And once you've gotten a yes, you can thank both parts and like open your eyes. It's basically just talking to all the different parts of yourself and getting them to communicate, because you need to get this binging part to communicate with this other part of you that is responsible for creating new habits and new beliefs. So once those 2 start to talk and they work together, see, that's the thing. In the past, they were fighting each other. That's why you felt so bad, and that's why your emotions were out of control. Your parts are fighting. But once you can get the parts to work together and come to an agreement, then you actually start to see real change. That's just a mini reframe. It's actually way more intense than that. And I go into depth a lot more with my mindset clients if I feel a reframe is necessary. The other little trick that I like to use for not just binge eating, but for life is something called Ho'oponopono. This is a beautiful Hawaiian process of forgiveness. And it's actually just repeating a couple different affirmations. It's repeating, I'm sorry, I love you, please forgive me, thank you. And it's so simple, but so powerful. And the key is you're not saying, I'm sorry, I love you, please forgive me, thank you to like another person. You're saying it to yourself. You're saying it to that divine part of you. You're like basically apologizing to your soul, and you're asking for forgiveness. And this act is called cleaning. I know that we're getting kind of spiritual and out there, but having a spiritual practice is amazing, and it has really improved my life. And just doing little things to make you feel like you're a part of something greater can really help you out. So that's what I do. And if I ever have a problem in my life, or that's actually one of the strategies I used when I was binging, is before I felt like I was going to binge, I said, I'm sorry, I love you, please forgive me, thank you, over and over and over again. I'm sorry, I love you, please forgive me, thank you. I'm sorry, I love you, please forgive me, thank you. And I'm speaking to that higher part of myself. And it's basically a prayer of forgiveness. And I don't know what it does. Like, I'm still waiting for the science. I don't know what it does, but it makes you feel so much better, and you actually like feel forgiven. It's very weird. Okay, enough of the woo-woo-ness. That is about it that I've got for the tips to stop binge eating. I'd also like to say, if you have a severe binge eating disorder, and you feel very out of control and none of this advice is really helping you, and you feel like you can't do it on your own, please, please, please see somebody. I need you to see somebody professional that can help you. I am not a doctor or a licensed therapist, any of that. I'm just an NLP practitioner and mindset coach, and I've got a lot of strategies that can help, but I'm not a replacement for professional medical advice. So there's that note too. Okay. I think we're down to the last 5 minutes of the podcast, so I'm not going to get to any more questions. This was really fun though. I had an amazing time, and it's great to really kind of get into my jam and talk about things that I love to talk about. I love to talk about food too, but it's nice to talk about the mind for a change of pace, because I really feel like you can get so far with food, but where you make the quantum leap in your life is when you change your lifestyle, you change your beliefs, you change your thoughts. Once you do that, you're basically unfreaking stoppable. And you realize that these things in the world cannot affect you as much as they used to. So that's why this is so beneficial. Anyways, be sure to give some of our sponsors, Paleo On the Go and Somnifix, some love. They're amazing, and we love to talk about them. Remember to sign up for the Straight Up Paleo retreat. You can go to bit.ly/supretreat 2018. I want to see all of your bright and shining faces there, and we'll be talking a lot more about body image, about self-acceptance. I'm going to be doing some energy clearing, which is always a good time. And of course, talking about food and eating food and working out and all that jazz. And if you like us, or if you don't like us, whatever, leave a rating and review on iTunes, and you will be automatically entered to win a bag of Baruka Nuts, but they're actually seeds. And join our Facebook group, Straight Up Paleo Pals. It's always popping over there. Okay, I think that's just about all I've got for today. So thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week.